Sometimes, the people we trust the most are the ones who destroy what we love the most. This is the story of an innocent child whose dreams were brighter than the stars, until the people she called family dimmed her light forever. Her name was Anwuli. In the quiet village of Omanta, everyone knew little Anwuli, the bright, curious 8-year-old who always topped her class at community primary school. Her laughter echoed through the dusty village paths every morning as she ran to school barefoot, clutching her old books tightly against her chest. Her teachers adored her, her classmates admired her, and her mother often said, "My daughter will become a doctor one day, she will heal others." But behind Anwuli's radiant smile was a story of struggle. Her mother, Mama Anwuli, was a poor widow. Life had taken her husband too soon, leaving her alone to raise their only child. Every morning, she roasted corn by the roadside, sweat trickling down her face as smoke rose from her small charcoal stove. Yet no matter how little she earned, she made sure Anwuli never went to bed hungry. Their small mud house at the edge of the village held nothing fancy, just 2 wooden chairs, a mat, and a lot of love. Every evening, Anwuli would sit beside her mother's stall, reading her worn-out schoolbooks under the dim glow of a kerosene lantern. "Mama," she'd whisper with a smile, "one day, you won't sell corn again. I'll build you a shop in the city." Her mother would laugh softly, her tired eyes glistening. "Amen, my child. Amen." Then, one afternoon, Auntie Rose, Mama Anwuli's elder sister, arrived from Ebel City, tall, confident, and well-dressed. She brought gifts and stories of a better life. When she saw how brilliant Anwuli was, she said, "Let me take her with me. Patrick and I will take care of her like our own. The city will give her what this village cannot." Mama Anwuli hesitated, torn between love and fear. Anwuli was all she had, her only joy, her only family. But the promise of a better future was too strong to resist. That night, she barely slept. She sat beside Anwuli, watching her peaceful face and whispering, "God, please protect my child wherever she goes." By morning, Anwuli's small bag was packed, a few dresses, her notebooks, and her favorite storybook. As the bus to Ebel City arrived, Mama Anwuli hugged her tightly and said through tears, "Be a good girl, my daughter. Make me proud." Anwuli smiled, her innocent eyes shining. "I'll make you proud, Mama." As the old bus drove away, kicking up clouds of dust, Mama Anwuli stood still, waving until it disappeared from sight. She didn't know she was waving goodbye to the laughter, the dreams, and the light that once filled her world. The city promised hope. But what awaited little Anwuli in Auntie Rose's home was something far darker than anyone could ever imagine. Ebel City was loud, bright, and fast, everything Omanta wasn't. Tall buildings crowded narrow streets, yellow buses honked, and hawkers shouted above the traffic. Anwuli pressed her small face to the bus window, eyes wide with wonder as the village she knew shrank behind her. Auntie Rose beamed beside her. "You'll like it here, my dear. This is where dreams come true." They arrived at Auntie Rose's modest 2-bedroom apartment in a busy compound. The door swung open and 2 children tumbled out, Chidera, a lively 12-year-old, and Emeka, 18, who hung back with restless eyes. Standing up from a worn armchair was Uncle Patrick, a tall, broad-shouldered man in his early 40s with a clean beard and calm, measured voice. He folded his newspaper, looked at Anwuli, and nodded. "Welcome to our home," Uncle Patrick said gently, stepping forward to offer his hand. "Your mother did well." Auntie Rose took Anwuli's small travel bag and kissed the top of her head. Chidera grabbed her hand and pulled her inside with the eager curiosity of a cousin. Emeka only smiled faintly, the smile didn't reach his eyes. Inside, the apartment smelled of stew and polish. Family photos lined a small shelf, a framed picture of Auntie Rose and Patrick at a graduation looked like proof of their stability. Anwuli felt small and thankful. She bowed her head. "Thank you, sir," she whispered to Uncle Patrick. Uncle Patrick's voice was soft but decisive. He helped put her bag in the corner and told her where she would sleep. During those first weeks he was a presence of authority. He made sure she had clothes, checked that she was enrolled at the local school, and told her mother on the phone that everything would be well. For a while, life seemed to settle. Anwuli learned the city routes, helped Auntie Rose with small chores, and laughed with Chidra over silly stories. Uncle Patrick's measured nods and polite smiles reassured Mama Anwuli the few times she visited. But after 3 months, something changed. Whenever Anwuli returned from school, Emeka would find excuses to be around her, asking about her day, pretending to help her unpack her bag, or standing too close. At first, she thought it was harmless, until his eyes and touches began to linger too long. He would come into her room when no one was home, whispering things that made her skin crawl. When Anwuli tried to speak up, he looked her in the eyes and threatened her. Whenever Mama Anwuli called from the village, Anwuli would force a smile and say, "I'm fine, Mama. Everyone here treats me well." But her voice always trembled, and her eyes told a story her lips couldn't. Fear kept her quiet. She didn't want to break her mother's heart or be blamed for anything she didn't understand. Then one afternoon, Chidra walked into Anwuli's room unexpectedly, and saw something she was never meant to see. Tears filled her eyes. She ran to tell her father, Uncle Patrick, what had been happening. That evening, the house was filled with shouting. Emeka was scolded harshly, but instead of protecting Anwuli, Auntie Rose begged everyone to stay quiet. "We can't let people hear about this," she said. "It will bring shame to our family." From that moment, Anwuli's heart broke in a way that could never be repaired. She thought things would change, that she would finally be safe. But she was wrong. The silence in that house became heavier. Whispers turned to threats. The people who should have protected her became the ones who made her live in fear every day. And just like that, the bright little girl who once dreamed of becoming a doctor began to fade. After that night, Anwuli thought the shouting and tears had ended everything. She believed her pain would finally stop. But she didn't know that silence had only given room for greater evil to grow. The house that once smelled of stew and laughter became a place of fear. Doors that used to mean safety now made her heart race whenever they creaked open. Anwuli started avoiding eye contact, speaking less, and flinching at sudden sounds. Each day after school, she lingered outside, pretending to have errands, anything to delay going home. Her once bright eyes grew dim, her laughter vanished. Even her teachers noticed the change. "You used to be our brightest star," her teacher said one morning. "What happened, Anwuli?" But Anwuli couldn't speak. How do you explain that the very people who promised to protect you had become your worst nightmare? And at home, Auntie Rose stayed quiet, pretending not to see, pretending not to know. All she wanted was to protect the family's name, not the child who called her auntie. "If you ever tell anyone," he hissed one afternoon, "you'll regret it." Fear became her secret companion. Her laughter faded. Her grades began to drop. Auntie Rose noticed she was quieter than usual, but thought the city was just overwhelming her. No one knew the battle Anwuli was fighting in silence. And so that was how Emeka started taking advantage of Anwuli Kim. That night, the sky over Ebel City was heavy with clouds. Thunder rumbled in the distance as rain began to fall softly against the rooftops. Anwuli sat alone on her small mattress, hugging her knees to her chest. The house felt colder, emptier. Her aunt had traveled that evening for a church meeting. Then she heard the footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Approaching her door. Her heart began to pound. She thought it was Emeka, but to her greatest surprise it was Uncle Patrick. "Please, Uncle, please," she whispered, trembling. But her voice was swallowed by the sound of the rain. Moments later, a scream broke through the night, sharp, desperate, filled with years of bottled pain. Neighbors heard the sound but thought it was only a quarrel or a bad dream. Anwuli burst through the front door, barefoot, soaked by the rain, running with all the strength left in her. Her sobs mixed with the thunder as she ran toward the main road, not looking back. Behind her, Uncle Patrick shouted her name, not out of love, but fear of what she might say. Headlights flashed. Tires screeched. And in one heartbreaking instant, everything went silent. When the neighbors gathered, they found a little girl lying still by the roadside.